What's your favorite episode of The Walking Dead?
Honestly, not fucking kidding, probably the first one.
Oh wait, I should have asked that on the actual recording, damn it.
Oh, we can do it again.
I can probably put that in the recording too.
Yeah, that would be
organic
great.
Stuff is fun.
It is genuinely probably the best episode in the whole series. I was gonna say, it's like when you start reading a book and the first chapter is like so mind-blowingly great that by the time you get to chapter 9 and you're like, wait, the last 8 chapters have been really bad, you still have enough of a like, but the first chapter was so good. So you just keep reading and then you finish it and you feel like a chump.
Wow, that episode's so good that it created a media empire with countless Funko Pops, action figures.
I tried to look up like how much money, you know, like the franchise itself is like worth or has made or whatever, and I couldn't even find a figure on it because they have so many different verticals.
Not the verticals.
The verticals. Yeah, you gotta be careful when you teach me a new vocab word. You're gonna hear it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of the St. Balasar University English Club podcast. I'm Jay, and today I am joined once again by my good friend Red, who is currently in the MFA program at the actual St. Balasar University, and we are going to be talking a bit about The Walking Dead, but before we do that, let Red introduce themselves.
Hi, yes, so I'm Red. I am a writer and teacher and also lifelong horror fan. That's probably my most important qualification for today, is that I've always loved, like, zombie media especially, and so I'm happy that I'm finally getting to drag Jay into this, like, ridiculous video idea that we've talked about.
We've been talking about doing this video for over a year easily. It was very much Red's idea, and I am super excited to get into it, so let's do it.
I think that you should rage bait by, in the intro of this video, using the sound from The Last of Us.
Oh.
Doing The Last of Us music.
Yeah. and just see if people are like, that's the wrong thing!
Like, as the title card comes up.
Uh-huh. Speaking of The Last of Us, though, I think that's probably one of the things that makes this video topical, because Last of Us Season 2 came out not too long ago. Haven't seen it myself, heard it was maybe not all that good. But one thing that The Last of Us is notable for is being really insistent that its zombies are not called zombies. And I believe, this is my genuine belief, this is no longer me leading up into a bit. So I'm asking for you to correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
It is my belief that trend originated or was at least popularized with The Walking Dead. Is that the case?
So, the first ever zombie movie, to my knowledge, and I'm not a film expert or really a horror expert either, just a lifelong fan, but it was called White Zombie.
Like the drink?
I think the drink came later. Probably.
Okay.
I don't know though. But the Night of the Living Dead was the more famous, like, first zombie movie. So a lot of people think that Night of the Living Dead was the very first one because it just had, like, more success and was a little bit better received by, like, a wider audience. And they don't use the word zombie in Night of the Living Dead.
Okay.
So the concept of zombie is not a new concept. It's like decades old. I think probably over 100 years old, actually. Honestly, from the beginning, directors and writers were kind of like sometimes avoiding using the word, or it just didn't naturally, come up. Romero's Night of the Living Dead never used the term zombie. Instead, it referred to them as ghouls. So,
okay,
ghoul.
That's a different monster. I don't know if they knew that.
That's what I would also think. It has, like, a very different connotation. I think the vibe is very different.
A ghoul feels more supernatural to me, and it feels like a sort of hulking entity from, like, maybe another plane that has entered ours, or, like, it lives alone in a forest or something. Like, it doesn't feel undead necessarily.
Tonally, there's a goofiness to it as well. It gives very, like, Scooby-Doo. Like, I feel like a ghoul belongs in the Scooby-Doo cinematic universe.
Yeah, there is a Scooby-Doo movie called Scooby-Doo in the Ghoul School, I believe.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's one of them. Okay, so there's The Last of Us in the cultural consciousness right now. The other thing is the concept of weirdly naming things in fiction. Alex Astor recently announced that Crown Tide, the 4th in the Light Lurk series, is going to be dropping later this year. The day before my birthday, actually, which feels a little bit like an insult.
Yeah, that's pointed.
And not just Crown Tide, but names used throughout that series, see also Augur/Augur, have been sort of questionable in terms of quality. And The Walking Dead is a show that really, really commits to not using the word zombie. And it also is a show where I believe lots of different groups of people are kind of isolated from each other. Thereby, they all have to come up with different words for zombie. And some of them are a bit of a stretch.
It's so funny. So like I said, I'm a lifelong horror fan. One of my favorite monsters is a zombie. Like, I love a zombie. I think there's something so viscerally, like, terrifying about an enemy that, like, is human, but also kind of isn't. I feel like the uncanny valley, to me, is, like, the essence of horror.
100%.
And the zombie does that, like, perfectly. And there's so much, like, you have so much creative freedom, too, in a zombie-type scenario. I mean, you can kind of, like, mix and match from different sort of, like, pre-existing texts, and you can kind of, like, figure out what's going to work best for the goals of your story. But to me, there are really, like, two types of zombie media. One, a type of zombie media where in the world of the zombies, the people already knew about zombies.
Right, presumably from other in-world media.
Exactly. So there's a pre-existing notion of zombies before that predicates the actual zombies appearing in the world or whatever, the zombie virus, the outbreak, contagion, whatever that, piece of media calls it. And then the other one is one where I guess the writers just don't want to deal with how messy that is. And so they sort of create like a branching universe like off of ours where everything is the same, but no one ever invented like zombies in a fictional setting, and so no one has any concept of what these things are.
Yeah.
And in order to enforce that world on us as viewers, they can't use the word zombie. So then you have to come up with your own name for zombie. But The Walking Dead, like you kind of said, like kind of dug itself into a hole really quickly with that, because there's no way that all of the people in their little satellite communities that don't contact each other for years and years in the apocalypse would all create the same name, the, alternative name to zombie. And so then you have, like, 50 different people in the apocalypse, and all 50 of them have a different name for zombie, and the show has to sustain that forever.
Right.
So,
the show that is being written not by 50 separate communities of people, but by, like, a team of writers
right.
with limited creative capacity.
For 12 years.
For 12 years. So, okay, let's step back a little bit. Here is how this sort of unconventional video for our channel is going to work today. We're going to break it up into 3 parts. In the first part, Red is going to introduce me, Jay, from the SBU English Club podcast. We still haven't introduced ourselves.
Oh, that's crazy.
I'm going to have to cut that back in somewhere.
That's crazy.
That's so funny. No, it's good. We're having a good conversation. Okay, so in the first part, Red is going to tell me all about The Walking Dead, which I have never, ever seen. I will talk about my very, very slight history with it at some point during our conversation. But Red realized a few months ago, a year ago, that I had never seen it. Was like, you need to see this. And then Red was like, we should rank all of the zombie names. So part 1 is going to be us talking about Red's history with The Walking Dead and the history of the show generally, because they're like kind of an expert on it. Then in part 2, we are going to watch and react to / analyze episode 1, which I'll be seeing for the very first time. And then in part 3, we are going to actually rank like 15 or so different funny zombie names from the show. So if you're interested in all of that, feel free to stay tuned. If you're only interested in one of those parts, totally fine. Skip around to whatever interests you most. But without further ado, let's get into it. Red has lots of great context to give us about The Walking Dead. So if, like me, you have very little exposure to this show, not just its contents, but also its cultural impact, which was, as I understand it, actually rather formidable, you will definitely want to stay tuned for this. So, Red, would you like to lead us into it?
Sure. I can't believe that you don't think that our audiences would all know everything about The Walking Dead, super relevant television
Right.
series from the year 2010.
A show that was famously incredible from beginning to end.
Right.
It retained all of its viewership. First in history ever to do it.
Exactly. So The Walking Dead started as a comic book series that was massively, massively successful, which is probably not something that you hear a lot about comic series. I was always a huge comic book fan. I was a huge dweeb as a kid, and so I started with like superhero comics, but I would then only want to buy the issues where they were doing these like spin-offs where there were zombies like in the
like the
superhero
What If
world.
Marvel stuff.
Yes,
Okay.
right, that. And so then I was like, oh, there's like a whole like leg of media that's just about zombies. So that started pretty early in life, and I started reading The Walking Dead way too early, first of all. The comic series launched in 2003, and I was like 10 in 2010, so I probably started reading it like around that age, maybe a little bit older, and the show came out in 2010.
Okay.
So I was kind of in the perfect zone to be like the mega fan of The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
I would do, like zombie makeup every single Halloween. I had like Walking Dead t-shirts from Hot Topic. It was very that,
That's
know.
Awesome. Do you still have any of those? I bet they've faded in like a very appealing way. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like those would have aged like wine.
I know. I really regret getting rid of all my old Hot Topic shirts. It's so tragic.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, if anyone has a Walking Dead Hot Topic t-shirt from circa like 2012, listeners, please, I'm begging. This is the real reason I wanted to make this video.
Yeah. If you have a t-shirt like that, what you should do is post it on Instagram and at SBU _ English Club so that Andrew sees it, but don't give him any context. I just want him to be inundated with photos of Walking Dead t-shirts circa 2010.
But yeah, as a huge comic book fan, I would have to say that, few comics really rise to the level of fame that The Walking Dead did. And so, yeah, it was launched in 2003 by Robert Kirkman, who is the writer. He actually wrote some of the episodes on the show as well, and the artist Tony Moore. Something that I think you would appreciate a lot, Jay, is that from the beginning when Kirkman was pitching the project of The Walking Dead, he said, like, he didn't really care about the origin of the virus, like, why it happened, how it happened, and he didn't really care about the endpoint of the virus. He really cared about the characters existing in his world and how their relationships would develop and, like, the sort of people that would be, living at this time. So he was kind of, like, one of the first people, I think, in this genre of media who had the money and the reach to create a series like he did, who really wanted to do a character-driven story.
That's a really admirable goal to have, especially in a space that is so dominated by genre, like capital G genre. That's not a letter. Where, like, it is usually very much, like, supernatural horror or sci-fi. And that's not to say that The Walking Dead doesn't have a genre, but to have a, I guess, more literary aspiration for it, where it's exploring the humanity, you can definitely see the traces of that in media that's followed it, like The Last of Us.
Yeah, absolutely. And in many ways, The Walking Dead is, sort of the blueprint, I think, for a lot of, like, our sort of, like, contemporaneous, like, zombie media. And even the comic series itself had 193 issues, which is kind of insane.
That's a lot.
With some of those issues being worth, like, over $10,000 now and stuff. It has, like, a crazy huge... It's always had a massive fan base, so, people completely flipped out when they announced the show. Mm-hmm. I mean, people were, like, very, very excited about this show.
Before we move on from the comics, I wanted to ask you if you happen to know... Okay, so one of the first exposures that I had to The Walking Dead... I know it's going to happen if it hasn't already. I'm going to refer to The Walking Dead as The Last of Us, or The Last of Us as The Walking Dead.
Oh, boy, the comments!
The comments are they're gonna blow me apart. That's fine. Do it. Engage. I dare you. Yeah, so I came across a sort of like I guess like an anthology. That's not the right word. Or like maybe they had collected an arc of the story in like a hardcover thing in like a comic book store somewhere. And the panels that I happened to flip open to, and I was definitely way too young to be looking at this.
Yeah.
They were in a car. The main characters were in a car. I think it was a convertible. And they were driving down into a valley. And for some reason, they had to go through this valley. But it was just choked with walkers. Yeah. Is that what they're called?
What's a zombie?
Yeah, I don't know. It was just choked with like scary monster people milling around. And of course, some people got like pulled out of the car and like ripped apart. And do you happen to know like where in the comics that occurs?
I don't. Okay, unfortunately.
I'm gonna see if I can find the pages and put them on screen when I'm talking about this.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I wonder if they even look anything like what I remember, but I remember them being very bold in terms of color and like very frightening.
Yes, they were. It was very intense. I mean, one of the reasons I think that the comics had such a big fan presence is that they were super gruesome. I mean, the illustrations were incredible too. I mean, it was very neat, like character design, and just, they were very like visually stunning, like very cool, but yeah, very, very intense as far as gore. I mean, it was a lot. So kind of the pitch for the comics and then the show is that they follow Rick Grimes. He gets shot on the job and awakens after being in a coma. And
Wait, it's like 28 days later?
Yes, it's very that, yeah.
I had no idea.
And yeah, the zombie apocalypse has basically happened all around him while he was unconscious. His room has been barricaded, and so he's safe. But he still has, like, a shotgun wound. I think it's a shotgun. He has a gunshot wound.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we will find out. And so he's still, like, struggling physically. He's probably the only person left on Earth who doesn't even know that this is happening. And so we kind of, like, go, see through his eyes the world for the first time as it's been ravished by zombies. But of course, being our main character, old Ricky ends up making it through. And so he joins, like, a community of survivors, and over time he sort of has, like, a leadership role in the community. He eventually rejoins with his wife and son, and so the first several seasons of the show are kind of just about this community's, like, fight for survival as they move about the world. I also thought it was a cute little fact that it premiered on Halloween night in 2010.
That's awesome. Now that you say that, I think I might low-key remember that.
Really?
Because the other not really major, but the other exposure that I had to this show growing up it was one of 3 shows that people were always talking about in my, like, middle and high school youth group. And I think I can remember people getting hyped up to watch this on Halloween. Like, kids who had just aged out of trick-or-treating. And they were like, ooh, we want to do something spooky. Oh, we like this comic book series, or, like, we've heard of it, and now there's going to be a show.
Probably their parents were excited about it or something, too.
So.
I mean, I'm telling you, this show, like, had a huge demand. Like, people really, really wanted it, and they were very excited about it. Just to talk a little bit about viewership.
Yeah.
At the start, The Walking Dead had between 4 and 6 million viewers.
Okay.
This was at the very first season.
Okay.
So each episode was getting up to 6 million views.
This is simultaneous views on cable television.
Yes, this is live on cable.
Wow.
And in season 2, the views were only getting more and more. So the series hit its peak during season 5, which was 4 years after the first season. Season 5 was racking in over 17 million viewers. It was the most watched series episode, which was the finale for season 5, in cable television history.
Okay.
So this was a huge, huge phenomenon.
Do you think we're old enough to do that really annoying thing where we're like, okay, so for our younger viewers, cable television was...
No, say it's not true.
But 17 million, that's crazy. I didn't even realize that the viewership climbed. I was under the impression that this show exploded like a bomb and then sort of fizzled out also like a bomb. Bombs don't fizzle, but you know what I mean. But it sounds like it had a bit of a bell curve.
Yeah, it did. It was, during that first 4 years of the show, it was really in the sweet spot, and the viewership was just skyrocketing more and more. And also kind of entered the scene in an interesting online ecosystem, too, because group viewing of The Walking Dead was definitely a huge deal. It was one of those shows where, you wanted to ensure that you watched every episode every week because, the next day at work, that's what people are going to be talking about.
Because your youth group is going to be talking about on Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But there was actually a decent presence on, like, early-ish, I mean, I guess this was, like, 2010 to 2014, so it's not the earliest, but early-ish YouTube of people doing live reactions to the show. So that you can find all of these pretty charming videos on YouTube of people recording with their webcam and, like, built-in laptop audio equipment and stuff of them watching The Walking Dead and reacting to it and stuff. And there's, like, hundreds and hundreds of these videos. So it definitely had a big online presence, too.
And we're participating in that long tradition today. Isn't that kind of beautiful?
It kind of is,
It lives on, almost like some sort of creature that persists beyond its own death.
I've never heard of such a creature, Jay.
Me neither. Man, it actually, thinking back, it doesn't surprise me that it was as big as it was, knowing that not only were, like, my cishet youth group friends watching it, but I also feel like it had kind of a Tumblr presence, too, so, like, a lot of young queer people were into it. So it seems like its appeal really reached across demographics. It was the thing that brought us together as a nation.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, I mean, The Walking Dead, it weirdly holds up pretty well in a lot of ways. I mean, to have premiered in 2010... It was like an unusually progressive show. I mean, most of it is set in the Deep South. It's set in Georgia. And there's always been a lot of diversity, like, in their casting. I mean, it's never had, like, I don't think it's ever had an all-white cast, actually, which is, I mean, that would be unrealistic, to be honest, but...
Yeah, in Georgia.
That doesn't keep shows from being exclusionary. And they've always had a lot of queer representation in the show, too. I mean, some of the biggest fan favorites were queer characters. There were gay relationships, like, who had huge staples on the show.
Oh, based.
Every time that a character expressed some sort of bigotry in the show was, like, interested in examining that and saying something about that. And I don't really remember, honestly, if the comics were like that. So I don't want to give more credit to the show if the comics sort of trailblazed in that way. But I always find it funny watching, you know, old shows from this time period, you know, 10 years ago, even longer, because now I feel like people throw a fit over the tiniest crumb of representation, you know, and people will say that it's too early for that sort of thing or whatever, when in reality, like, obviously people have been making media that represented, you know, queer people and people of color at the beginning of time when we were creating media. But
right.
Even, you know, these huge shows, you know, obviously the... 17 million viewers per episode weren't too put off by there being a gay couple in 2011 or whatever, so I feel like we could definitely be doing better right now.
Yeah, we definitely could. And if you, listener, have fond memories of, like, feeling represented by The Walking Dead, please feel free to share those anecdotes in the comments below. Or if you have insight into how the show compares to the comics in terms of representation, or just generally, please, I would love to know more about it, and I would love to hear from you guys, so let us know. So what else do we need to know about this show, Red, before we go ahead and watch episode 1?
Well, we should talk about the decline. It was not all, you know, roses and rainbows for The Walking Dead, unfortunately. They did end up betraying their 17 million viewers eventually.
It was gonna happen.
But this is not a YouTube video about the decline of The Walking Dead, so I won't get too in the weeds of where they went wrong, though I could for hours. So they had 17 million viewers in season 5. That was the peak, so we pretty much started sliding downhill immediately after that. It still had pretty astonishing views. I mean, the season 8 premiere had over 11 million viewers.
Okay.
So, I mean, still pretty insane. I mean, the show is set in Georgia, which I think it's hilarious. That is larger than the population of Georgia. So, it would be as though everyone in the state set in the show, and then some more people were also watching the same 1 hour segment of cable television, you know, on the same night. So, it's pretty crazy.
So this was a very protracted decline then.
It was a slow slide into the abyss, and by the final season there were only 2 million viewers tuning in.
That's pretty rough.
But it did not stop them from producing several spin-offs. Like, Fear the Walking Dead has a ton of seasons. I have not watched a lot of it. It's not very good, unfortunately.
I didn't even realize that was a different show until this very second.
It is a different show, and it was sort of like, you know, there was this massive peak in the quality of The Walking Dead, like, that kind of started at the beginning and stayed really strong, and then there was this huge dip, and so then it went lower than it had ever been before. And to me, the rest of the franchise sort of hovered around the mid to low point of the original show. I know that Fear the Walking Dead has, like, a massive fan base, so you know, come after me if you want to. I don't care. I'm standing on it.
We do not fear the Walking Dead fan base.
Yeah.
Is that the one where Norman Reedus goes to France? Or is that a different spinoff?
That's a different spin. Okay. That's a pretty recent one, too. I mean, they've been making this stuff into the 2020s, you know. But, you know, we gotta give credit where credit is due. And I have to say, retrospectively, The Walking Dead did a lot of things right. I think some of the things that the fans enjoyed the most were, it had some sick-ass practical effects.
Okay.
I'm a huge practical effects person.
Yeah, you love that.
I do love that stuff for real, like, you know, The Thing and all that, like, all the classics, like, that was one of the things I got super into with horror, was just loving practical effects and kind of, like, how much ingenuity that you have to pull off these, like, really cool visuals in real life. And The Walking Dead, this was 2010, you know, so there definitely was the CGI at the time to do a zombie or whatever. Yeah,
totally. I mean, Merlin was coming out around this time, I believe, and it went crazy with the CGI. I mean, it looked terrible,
right,
but they really did commit to it.
This was the perfect pocket of time where people were chronically overestimating what CGI could do and being very excited about applying it. And so this was in the zone of the terrible CGI, you know, movie and TV show sort of era. And so I think it's pretty cool that even though there was all this hype about CGI and a lot of, like, studio pressure and stuff to use CGI for The Walking Dead, that the creators were completely insistent to use practical effects. And for those first several seasons, I think they started using more CGI towards the end, but there was a lot of practical effects for the entire duration of the show. And in those first few seasons, it was all practical effects. So that's pretty unique. And people, the fans really responded well to that because the comics, in part, got so famous because of the gore and the depiction of the gore being very realistic. What it lost towards the end that was so great at the beginning is this flexibility, like the ability to constantly redefine itself as a series, like create new obstacles, and overcome them in like new kind of interesting, innovative ways. It also had really cool weapons and great gore, so it had that, like teenage, just that's what you wanted to see on TV at that time.
Right. I mean, the ghost of the 90s was still lingering well into like the early 2010s, I would say, so it doesn't surprise me at all that people ate that up.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you wanted to turn on the TV to see gore or to see like stuff explode or whatever, and The Walking Dead could offer both of those things.
Absolutely.
And zombies, if you're of a branching universe that has the concept. But then I think the thing that was kind of enduring was the character development and relationships, which definitely set it apart from other just sort of like, I don't know, shock value or even just like action-packed kind of shows. How big was the cultural impact? Well, let's just say...
Red is turning their laptop to me. It's displaying a low-res image of a Funko Pop. It's Rick Grimes, and he's splattered with blood, I assume.
So, pretty big deal.
Pretty big deal to have a Funko Pop.
Pretty big deal.
Or it was at one point. Now they make Funko Pops of people they take pictures of on the street, I believe.
It's probably ones of us.
Yeah, there's probably are. They're just like languishing in some GameStop somewhere in like a rotting mall that no one's been in.
Yeah, exactly.
For like 10 years. Am I gonna be scared? Is this gonna be scary?
Considering that we're watching it on a laptop screen in the middle of the day with one AirPod in, maybe not, but it's pretty scary.
Hey everyone, Editing Jay here. After listening back to the audio that Red and I recorded live reacting to the first episode of The Walking Dead, I decided that it would make for a much more efficient and probably enjoyable experience if I just went ahead and summarized both the episode and our best observations. Here's the summary now. Officer Rick Grimes is hospitalized and rendered comatose after a shootout with some unnamed criminal. He awakens in the hospital weeks later only to find it abandoned and completely trashed. He has his first encounter with some walkers, that is zombies, and he teams up with a father-son duo who are sheltering in an abandoned house not far from where he himself used to live. The father, whose name is Morgan, wants to take his son to Atlanta, where he's heard that there's some kind of safe haven, but he can't bear the thought of leaving town just yet because his own zombified wife still wanders around their house's yard. Rick loads up on weapons at the police station, so does Morgan, and then Rick heads off to Atlanta looking for his own wife and son. But when he gets there, he finds that the city is completely overrun with walkers. He tries to leave, but ends up trapped in an abandoned tank, and then a voice contacts him over the radio, offering help. That's where the episode ends, on that really awesome cliffhanger. So you might notice right away that not a lot happens narratively, but that's because the episode is perfectly comfortable lingering on some really quiet, humanizing moments. A couple that spring immediately to mind are Rick meeting this one legless undead, only to return at the very end of the episode to give it a merciful death. There's Morgan agonizing over whether or not to end his wife's zombified existence with a sniper rifle. And there's this other moment of really painful, dramatic irony after Rick heads off to Atlanta, where he very nearly misses running into his own wife and son, who are on the road with one of Rick's former coworkers, who his wife is now dating. Both Red and I were both impressed at how well the show has held up visually. It has this really fantastic grainy texture that I'm sure people will be nostalgic for in 10 years if they aren't already. It also manages to use that 2000s era muted gray-blue color scheme really effectively. It doesn't look washed out the way that other horror media like The Ring from that same era do. Red and I were also both a little bit baffled by the title, which seems to be a pun just for the sake of it. The episode is titled Days Gone By spelled B-Y-E, and we
don't really understand why that is. Days Gone By is already referencing the past, so referencing that they're saying goodbye to the past just doesn't really seem to add anything. Red also pointed out that the first episode contains evidence of the show tinkering with some in-world mechanics that they wouldn't end up using. For example, walkers throughout the rest of the show will really only rarely interact with objects, but the first episode alone shows one trying a doorknob and one carrying around a stuffed animal. So yeah, that's what happens in the episode, and those are our most pertinent thoughts on it. At least the ones that you won't hear in just a second in the recap. So let's get back into it.
Okay, Jay, so what do you think?
It was pretty good. I definitely think if I had watched it back when it came out, I would not have liked it at all. I'm still not a huge fan of gore, but back then I was like super repulsed by it. So when it came out, I would not have been a fan. Now, I think I can appreciate the prosthetics a lot more, although I still don't love the gore. Like, it just doesn't interest me so much.
Yeah.
But I can really see that this is a show that has a very specific vision for what it wants to communicate. And that is something I increasingly respect as a critic. Even if, like, the things it's trying to communicate don't resonate with me, like, just being able to see that it is being made with intentionality is really nice. And there's a lot that goes into that. With it being a TV show beyond just the writing and then playing around ideas of like family, gender, community, being in the South. It has a very distinct look that is more than just of its time. Like the colors are muted, but very present. There's like definitely a little bit of grain, although the quality of the version we were watching was not the best maybe.
Not ideal.
But so much of it just looks real. Like you can tell it was shot on location and not in front of like a green screen. So there's a lot to like about it, although I don't think that I would continue watching it even today. I just don't think it's for me, which is not at all the show's fault.
Yeah, very valid. The gore is definitely there. I think just because of the fans of the comic book and, you know, the comic books and the sort of things that those people wanted, it would not be possible, you know, to make the show without that, like, the nastiness. Mm-hmm. And I really like the commitment to the nastiness, not just in the gore either. It's hard to see in the first episode, but I mean, you do see in the environment, like, things are so worn and so decayed. Mm-hmm. And then as you move forward, the characters are filthy all the time. Like,
really?
It makes you feel bad for the actors. And they're sweating in the Georgia heat, so people are visibly sweaty. And, like, you know, it's very real. It feels very real, you know. Comparing that to, I feel like, you know, one of the big criticisms of the second season of The Last of Us especially is that, like, the characters look super clean and, like, everyone is very well manicured. Like, the world doesn't look as, like, dangerous and hostile, where in The Walking Dead, like, every inch of the screen at all times is reminding you
the state that,
yes, exactly. So honestly, just shout out to, like, that takes so many people on a project to have that thorough of a like, atmosphere. And so that was costuming, that was makeup, that was lighting, that was, like, you know, so many people had to collaborate to create such, you know, an intense personality for this show. And it's pretty cool that they achieved it.
And that adds another layer of impressiveness to it for me as well, because it's not just that, like, one brilliant mind was overseeing all of this, but, like, so many people came together to make it happen. I think when media gets as complicated as, like, a movie or a TV show, it needs to be that way.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we're writers, we know that sometimes it takes, like, one expert just to produce a single good book or even short story or even poem. Like, no person should have to be responsible for writing a great script and doing great cinematography and doing great makeup. Like, it would just become impossible.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's awesome that it all came together the way that it did, and it, like, realized a pretty singular vision. How did it hold up for you 15 years on?
Honestly, it's so intensely nostalgic. I will say that, like, the fog of nostalgia definitely, like, clouds my judgment a little bit, I think. Because I'm just like, oh, The Walking Dead, I love the show, you know?
Yeah.
But honest to God, like, I think it's good, you know? Like, those first few seasons, like, I think it's very good. Like, I think that if this came out today, I would be completely blown away by it. Like, even with no prior knowledge of comics or whatever, like, it has so much heart, it has so much direction, like, it's interested in so many things that it does follow through with. Mm-hmm. The characters feel real, you can feel that they care for each other, like, and the practical effects are just amazing. I mean, even when you're, you know, cringing looking away from the screen, I can just think about, you know, these makeup artists that spent thousands of hours on this show.
Yeah.
Testing new products, like, innovating new things to get the effect that they wanted and stuff, you know, revisiting the comic panels to make sure that all the most iconic panels ended up in the show in some way. And that was a very exciting thing. I will say, even in the show's decline, towards the end, you would still see, you know, a moment that they obviously studied the comics a lot to bring to life. And, like, that's, as a fan of another piece of media, you know, if you see it reimagined, like, that's an exciting thing. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I definitely like it. I wish that it had ended about 5 years earlier than it did. It definitely suffered from just dragging on way past its welcome, and it sucks because then it tarnishes your whole memory of the show, you know?
And that also is part of what is keeping me from saying, like, oh, I loved it. Because, like, I don't know, if I let myself say that, then I'm going to want to watch the whole thing.
I know.
And I know that I will be disappointed. So.
You really can't. I mean, I will say, for anyone who has not watched The Walking Dead, if you like this kind of media, I mean, if you like The Last of Us, for example, and you don't really know anything about The Walking Dead, I think you honestly really could watch the first 5 seasons and then just stop. There's not that much unresolved stuff. I mean, it's kind of like a new story, you know, after that. Like, it just moves in a different direction. A lot of the characters are new moving forward from that. So I do think if you're curious about it, I think it's worth trying it out. And just don't do that thing where you're hanging on through bad seasons thinking that it might turn around and get better. Because at least in my opinion, and the opinion of a lot of other viewers, it just gets worse and worse.
You and, like, 13 million other people agree on this point.
So don't get sucked into the vortex. It's okay just to, you know, the show was great before. It had a lot of heart, it had a lot of vision, it lost a lot of that stuff because it just wanted to hang on to the money that it was making and just stretch it out as long as they could, and that's a huge shame.
That is a shame. It's sort of like, imagine if you were perched in a sniper nest looking at the zombie of your wife and you were really hesitating about pulling that trigger. You should do it. You should probably do it.
Oh my gosh.
Pulling the trigger being stopping the show.
That is
turning off the television.
You just, distilling that into like a meme format, like, that would really do numbers, I think.
That would have done numbers on 2015 Twitter.
Yeah, truly.
Okay, so we've talked about the show. We have watched it. I hope you've joined us for both of those 2 parts, but if you're just here for the tier list, here's how this is going to work. So Red has gotten together 15 names for zombies from the show, and I am going to rank them. Well, we're going to rank them together. I'm not going to have final say. Tiers S through F, skipping over E for whatever reason. Don't worry about it. And I think that's about it. You all know how tier lists work. Let's just do it.
Great. So, as you all know, Jay has never seen The Walking Dead before, except for now, only the first episode.
Yes.
So they don't know, they're unfamiliar with basically all of these names.
That's right. Except for Walker, which I think they said once.
And that kicks us off perfectly because I think that we should start with the most iconic zombie name in The Walking Dead, which is Walkers. This is like Rick's original group of survivors who use this term, and oftentimes when they meet other groups, the other groups also adopt it, like from whatever name they were originally using.
So this has like cultural cachet.
Yeah.
Okay. I am going to be in team put Walker right in like B rank. I think that it's a perfectly adequate place from which to depart. Ideally upwards, but probably also downwards.
We can put it in B, but I will tell you, when you see most of the rest of this list, you're gonna...
So you're saying I'm setting up A and S rank to be completely empty?
It's possible.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we should do A.
Okay,
maybe
we can do A.
And then we could revise as we go if necessary.
Yeah. Okay, I think I can see where this is going. And I think some people would probably be mad at me for putting it in B because it's so iconic. You know, it's iconic. The Walking Dead after all. How can you spit in the face of the title of the show and say, oh, it's just okay? Like, no. So we'll put it in.
Okay. I like Walkers because it's not trying to do too much. It's not getting too crazy. You know, it's not trying to get too silly with it or funny or creative or anything. It's just like, let's be real. The dead people are walking. They're not supposed to. That's all they do, really, is walk around. Yeah. So I like it. It rolls off the tongue. Yeah. Walker! You know? Right. I like that.
It's not too weird to shout either. It doesn't sound like a fantasy word.
Phonetically, it's succinct. Yeah. You know, it's nice on the ears. Next one, you'll immediately see that, you know, we start fumbling a bit.
Okay.
These also, by the way, these are not in chronological order of how they appear in the show. Some of them might just happen to fall that way, but it's just a random list in no particular order.
We picked interesting ones, or rather Red picked interesting ones. I don't know what's on that list.
Exactly. So, number 2, roamers.
Okay, so we are retreading,
immediately
re-roaming old ground. Can I get some context on where this one arises?
Yes. So Rick and the gang eventually join up with a community called Alexandria, which is led by a character named Deanna.
Okay.
And that is how this whole community refers to walkers.
Just as roamers.
As roamers.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like walkers, but it's a little bit worse. So I'm going to say B. Does that sound alright to you?
Yeah, I think B is good for this one. Number 3, this is when we start thinking about other qualities of the walkers, right? Because, like, okay, so we know they walk, but what else is distinct about them, right?
Okay, so wait, can I guess?
Please.
Okay, so what we've seen in the first episode is they tend to sort of like work their jaws a lot, like they're gurning, like on acid. And I'm wondering if that might have something to do with it. But I'm guessing that they're also cold, right? Because they're dead.
Right.
So it could be something about cold.
Yeah, you're on to
Am
it.
I on the right
Not
track?
not this one necessarily, but later
That's
you'll
gonna come up.
see. Yeah, it'll come up.
Okay, so what do we have now?
Number 3 is stinker.
Oh, that's bad.
The first one that's a little playful, you
Yeah,
know?
it's a little too playful.
a little too tonally.
Yeah.
I would not say it's a match.
Yeah.
You know?
If we're using, it would be dramatic but also efficient to shout this as a metric, as we did for Walker.
Yeah.
I don't want to shout stinker.
No, it sounds a little well, first of all, I hardly know her. And it's a little too silly.
It's very
It's a little
much
like
too
I feel like
silly.
someone would be like stinker, and I would be like haha,
Yeah,
like and then I would be getting devoured, and I would be like, oh, I should have said Walker.
Should have
you know?
said Walker, or even Roamer, if you...
Yeah, as much as I hate it, you're right. Yeah,
Okay, I'm going to put stinker in D, I think, because it could get worse.
it could get worse, and I think it. You know, even though tonally it's completely incorrect, it deserves a point for being a little funny.
I completely agree. I can imagine contexts in which humor might be welcome.
Okay, the next one I would say is one of the worst.
Ooh.
So now we're completely departing from what qualities of a zombie make it iconic.
Yeah.
Geeks.
I was not prepared for this. I'm gonna leave that silence in because I think it's an authentic response. What is that supposed to mean? Is it because they're geeking out? Like because they look like they're high?
I don't even think people said that yet at this point.
Okay.
I don't think geeking out was even a thing yet.
Oh
So,
yeah. In 2010.
2003. I think this one was in the comics. I might completely be like Mandela affecting myself with
Okay.
that, but I know it's Glenn who is the one who's calling Rick in the tank in the episode.
Yeah.
It's his community calls them geeks.
Calls them geeks. I need to know what they're coming, like where they're getting that from, because it might be brilliant. Like, what if it's genius and I put it low and then I get yelled at in the comments and I get boosted in the algorithm because people engage? That would be really tragic.
I know. You know, there is something a little genius about it. I think the thinking of it, because the word zombie, if I'm right, I think that it comes from words of like maybe some kind of like West African diasporic religion or something. It's like it was two separate words, I think, that sort of phonetically sound like zombie, and then it was sort of combined into the word zombie.
Okay.
If I'm right about that, I don't know. I did not fact check that before that. That was straight off the dome, so apologies if that's incorrect. But to the average, like, you know, Western ear now and modern time, you know, like, the word zombie doesn't mean anything. Like, it doesn't describe a zombie. It doesn't, like, refer to any qualities of a zombie or whatever. It's just this random, like, word that is used. So I think maybe they were trying to replicate that.
Okay.
Like, a funny little name that doesn't necessarily describe the monster itself.
Sure. Interesting. It kind of does nothing for me. It's just weird and distracting. How do we feel about putting that one in C or D?
I hate it. I want it to be an F.
Oh, you want it to be an F?
I think it's so bad.
Okay, let's do the average and put it in D.
Okay. I also just to the ear too, it is like poison to me.
Check out these geeks.
And it just doesn't sound good.
Yeah. It has the same problem
like
as
it.
Stinker, where it seems like they're not taking the situation as seriously as perhaps they ought.
Yeah. You don't need to schoolyard bully the zombies.
Right.
You know,
they
you
don't
need to
even understand
explode
what's
them.
happening. You're
Right.
just punching down.
You can't hurt their feelings.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. We're getting back to basics, going salt of the earth. Biters.
A little literal. It's about on par with roamers for me. I can see exactly how it would arise in world, but it doesn't really interest me.
Agreed. That seems like a placeholder title to me. Like, if we were in the apocalypse and people started calling them zombies, or no, if we were in the apocalypse and people started calling them biters, I would be like, we'll work that out.
Well, yeah,
you know?
we'll workshop
Second
it.
draft, we're gonna
SBU post-apocalypse arc, we workshop what we should all call zombies.
We would still be snarking with a microphone in
We
the
would.
apocalypse.
Yeah, we're unstoppable. Okay, so are we thinking B, C?
I think it should go with Roamers.
Okay.
Oh god, I don't even want to say this one. The next one is Lame Brains.
F. No
Yeah,
further
that's
discussion.
F. I completely agree.
Lame Brains? Again with, like, the schoolyard sort of vibe.
It's, like, weirdly ableist or something. Like,
I didn't even think about that.
I feel
but
like it
yeah.
sounds like a slur for zombies.
What were they thinking with that one?
They were thinking, oh shit, we don't have any more zombie names.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the cracks are definitely starting to show when they got down to Lame Brains. I have to wonder, you're pulling these from some kind of wiki, I presume.
It's across several sources. Yeah,
Okay.
I used, like, a wiki. I used a couple of Reddit threads, but only if I could also, like, corroborate, that the names were in
Yeah,
there.
you gotta fact check the Reddit.
There was a couple, maybe on Wikipedia or something. AMC released a couple of articles about the different names for zombies too,
Okay.
so I also referenced those.
So is there a chance that any of these, like, really out there ones were maybe just something that, like, a character and his friend said one time?
I tried to weed out the ones that I don't remember being
Okay.
in the show. I don't think this one stuck. I mean, most of these were only used, probably less than 10 times, you know, because it's like they would often meet a community,
Right.
learn their word for zombie. That community would prefer Walker, so that it would probably be convenient for us as viewers. Though I do think that even diegetically,
Yeah, it kinda
the
makes
characters
sense.
are like, damn, Walker's way better than
Way better than
Geeks.
Stinker.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very funny that the show on some level is like self-aware that like these other names kind of suck. You know?
We kind of got it in one, but now we have to remind everyone how good we got it right away.
Right, exactly.
So we're putting Lame Brain in F.
I really hope so.
We have to go up from here, or it's a lateral move.
It may be lateral. Creepers.
Ooh, do I make a Minecraft joke or a Scooby-Doo joke here?
I was gonna make an emo joke.
Okay.
About any demonia owners out there, my friend. This was perfectly in the era where I was wearing creepers to like high school and getting bullied, and then platform shoes became popular like 3 years later, so joke's on them.
Okay, so there's some trauma affiliated with this one.
Yeah, maybe. I definitely want to see a picture of a demonia creeper on screen at this point of the video.
Okay.
And maybe like a Minecraft creeper too. I
Let's see
think
if
that
I
needs to
can-
make it.
I'll see if I can whip that up. I might also do the creeper from Scooby-Doo.
I feel like you need to see this. Hold on.
Yeah, I think I do.
These were like the shoes that you wanted if you were emo in like the 2010s.
Oh, those are like the shoes that the Scooby-Doo creeper wears. They're like super
Oh,
thick
that's
and
true.
chunky. Okay,
A ghoul.
a ghoul perhaps.
know?
Statistically speaking, there would have been a few zombies wearing those in the show.
You're so true. Yeah, this is like the platonic ideal of like an emo shoe.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
So, creeper.
Well, it starts with C, and C is looking a bit empty, and this is sort of a boring name. So,
Yeah.
Creeper?
Perfect.
Okay. We made it through without talking about Chicken Jockey. We're safe.
Okay, number 8. Rotters.
Ooh, I kind of like that one. It's a little bit sinister.
I'm willing to hear you defend it.
Just a gut reaction. I like it. It's descriptive of something that I think would be very top of mind for all the people in the diegesis. To your point, that hopefully will be retained in the actual version of the video that gets published, you said that the stink you think would be overwhelming basically everywhere you go in a zombie apocalypse world. And I think that and you also mentioned that a lot of media doesn't really reckon with that, or like does one time and then is like, okay, I've established this, I'm never going to bring it up again. I think that this calls that to mind, and that's important. So I'm going to say like a low B.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I like your defense of it. I like the concept, you know? I think the thing that I don't like about it is just the sound. Like, I think that it just doesn't sound very natural to me. It sounds kind of, like, stilted a little bit. Like, to be like, the Rotters. Like, it's sort of, like, I think it's something about the... Okay, my linguists?
Linguists?
Oh, Lord, I'm gonna get tore up for that. But my linguists out there, I think it's something about the, like, going from the R to the T sound.
Yeah, it, like, stops
Rotters.
the word.
It doesn't feel natural to me. So, I don't know, I feel like I would have a hard time imagining that would be the word that people would naturally go to, because it's just kind of difficult to say, like, as comfortably as something like Walker. You know, Walker rolls off the tongue. Rotter is like, I don't know.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's a little less, just comfortable on the tongue. Sort of a Lark Crown situation.
Yeah, I think I'm like a freak who like thinks about that kind of stuff a lot too, and I feel like it breaks my immersion because it's like I just don't believe that people would show preference for a word like that would be like difficult to use.
Yeah, it's
sort
like
of.
sonically unpleasant and also physiologically difficult to quickly form.
Yeah,
okay.
rotters. It just seems unnatural. Like, I feel like I'm imagining a writer standing behind you, like, making you say that. Like, when it doesn't feel like this isn't a person who's, like, acting the way that people do. They're, like, reading a line.
It feels a little bit like they were on thesaurus.com at this point.
Yes! You could cut everything I said before, because that's exactly what it is.
Okay, I'm putting it in B. I'm not actually going to rank within the ranks, but just trust that it has sort of a low B stank on it. / high C stank, depending on your preference.
Okay, this next one, kind of funny. Deadheads.
Is it, like, supposed to be a joke about, like, people that follow the Grateful Dead around?
I don't think so. I think they just took it.
Okay, well, that's...
They were like, this is our word now.
That's really... Sorry, I know you like the show. That's pretty dumb.
If you like The Walking Dead, you have to dunk on The Walking Dead.
Okay,
like,
okay.
Yeah,
Good,
I would not defend it away from it. Yeah. No, it sucks often. They should have just, like, honestly... I think that they overthought this whole thing, because I think that everyone could have just used Walker, you know, and we could have just been okay with that, but... Yeah, Deadheads. It was only one character who used this word, and it was a character who came from a local group who used the word roamer.
Okay, so this was just somebody who was trying to get something started.
I think so.
They were trying to trend.
Fetch is never gonna happen. Like, it was very that.
No, bro was frindle maxing. Okay, that's gonna be a D or an F for me.
That's got to be an F, I think. I mean, well, I think if this is a parallel universe where the only two things that are different are that they don't have a word for zombie and the Grateful Dead doesn't exist, then I could let it pass. Then I would put it in, like, a C.
Okay. Because
I'm like, Deadhead, like, I kind of get it. I think people would say it. Like,
and it rhymes.
I feel like kids maybe would say it. It seems like a, like, sort of punk-like thing.
Nursery rhyme kind of quality.
Deadhead, it's sort of, like, resentful. But the Grateful Dead thing totally ruins it.
It does.
So, yeah.
It rips me right out. Like, when the whole conceit of not calling them zombies is to avoid the real world, to then make a joke based on the real world, it feels like it's at odds with itself.
It's not working.
Okay.
It's not working, yeah.
So, putting that down right at the bottom, I'm noticing that we've put both of our two-word names at the bottom. I wonder if we have a subtle bias against them.
I have an overt bias against them. Another two-word one. A lot of them are two-word after this. Cold bodies.
That's just a thing that exists. It's not as bad as Deadhead, but I don't like it. It's really clunky as well.
So clunky. That's the thing with the two-word things. They get very clunky very fast.
At least Lame Brain and Deadhead are 2 syllables, so is Walker, but Cold Body, that's 3 whole syllables, girl.
It's so bad.
You can't do that.
It's so bad. Yeah, this is another one of the ones where it's like it's not clear that a whole community uses it or whatever. It's like a character who comes from a community uses it, so maybe it's like, common in that community or whatever, but we mostly see it like only a couple times, so it doesn't take up a lot of room in the show. But you can see they were trying to be like, oh, we got the stink thing, we got the fact that they walk, we got the fact that they bite, like, what else do they do? Like you said, they're cold, but there's just not a good sounding, like, way to be like, oh, they're cold. Like,
yeah, you can't call them, like, chillers, because then they sound awesome.
Yeah, that would rock. So also what this reminds me of is, if there are any Twilight fans out there, when Bella is Googling, like, vampire or whatever, like, at that one scene in Twilight, and, like, the cold one is, like, the result that she gets.
There's a scene in Twilight where she just Googles vampire.
We're gonna have to look at this right now.
Okay.
So that's what Cold Bodies reminds me of.
Okay. D?
Yeah, that one's pretty bad. Honestly, yeah, we can't put another one in F yet. I think we'll let that one be in D.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried that our F tier might get a little crowded. How many more have we got? Like 8 or so?
5 more.
Okay, we got 5 more. Let's see.
It's not looking good. The Infected.
Well, I can't hate that one because it's the Last of Us one.
They it's kind of obligatory, I think, in zombie media, like, to throw that out every once in a while. Like, they probably say it in 28 Days Later, too. I don't remember, but...
Yeah, I think so. I don't think... Did they say zombies in that movie? I don't remember them saying it.
I don't know. That would be worth looking into, but I don't remember it.
I know you haven't seen it yet, but they introduce, like, types of zombies in the new 28 Days Later. It's, like, very video gamey.
I hate that.
There's, like, these big bloated ones that, like, crawl on the ground and eat worms. And there's baby ones now that are very cowardly, and there's this very rare variety called alphas, and they're like 10 feet tall, and they gather regular zombies around them, and can like command them to take different formations by like vocalizing, like grunting and stuff.
This implies so much about these creatures
Yeah.
that you then must reckon with.
They've started like forming kind of like societies in a way,
Oh, okay.
but like kind of also not.
That's so bizarre. Oh, it's Left 4 Dead. That's the video game I was trying to think of earlier. So
that's why you're talking about like, yeah, okay. Yep.
playing Left 4 Dead, you know, there was like that is a good function for like having different types of zombies. Because first of all, it's not a game that's that interested in like character development or like anything crazy. You know, it's mostly just like an action zombie game, and like there would be zombies who would like cry, you know, like it would sound like a person crying for help
To like lure you in.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And so then you would get lured in, and then they attack you or whatever. And like playing a game, you know, for that function, it makes sense for there to be multiple types of zombies, because then it's a layer of strategy.
Exactly.
But in a show or a movie or something, that doesn't do anything for me. It makes more sense in The Last of Us, again, a video game, because also it's like a virus that has a progression over time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of explained by like, oh, it depends on how long they've been infected and like how severe the infection is, that they like turn into different, you know, types of creatures or whatever. But
and the environment that they're in, because I think that's how they explain, in the games at least, I don't know if they did this in the show, in the games they explained the fact that Seattle has zombies that weren't in the first game by saying like, oh, it's like more cold and damp, and so like they mutate differently, and it's like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Ultimately it's a video game, they wanted to come up with new enemy designs.
right, exactly. I don't really get doing that in like a movie.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Keep it nice and boring. Like, I
Yeah.
just want to just give
Right,
me
because
zombies.
there's so much zombie media right now, and there has been since The Walking Dead. Like, we don't need more zombie things about zombies. What's interesting is like the people that are put in tense situations by the zombies. I'm not saying there's like it's impermissible or there's no room for the zombies to have some sort of unique gimmick or trait. Like, I think The Last of Us would disprove that claim pretty definitively. But really, like in a form of media that you're mostly passively digesting, like a movie or a TV show, it really doesn't make sense to focus so much on like, ooh, what if there were like cool different types? Like,
Right,
what
exactly.
does that add?
Yeah, I would rather that time be dedicated to character development and
Yeah.
stuff. Okay, number 11, The Infected. Oh, we already did that one.
Oh yeah, we never
Where'd
actually
we
we
put
didn't
that
put
one?
it anywhere. We started yapping.
It's kind of obligatory. I mean, it feels weird to put it with Walker, but
I feel like it's like a B.
yeah,
Okay.
it doesn't. You can't really imagine someone saying it either.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And then it's like, what's one? Uninfected? Like an infected?
Yeah, that's what they say in The Last of Us.
But then they call them like, oh, but it's a clicker or whatever. So I feel like that kind of gets around it a little bit. Okay, next one. I think this one's pretty bad. Number 12, The Wasted.
It's like I kind of get that they were trying to do something a little fun with it, but it just doesn't feel accurate.
That's my qualm with it too.
Feel like C maybe for this one.
Yeah, maybe C. It's just boring.
Yeah.
It's not doing anything.
I'm curious, do you happen to remember who uses this one or when?
It appears both in The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead later.
Okay.
Which is so they must have thought it was pretty good, you know, because it's one of the only ones that
they had multiple people in the world independently think of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if they were trying to do something kind of interesting where it's like, oh, they're like wasted potential, or their lives were wasted. Like, obviously they're stumbling around, so it's like, oh, they're drunk, but there's a possibility for some sort of commentary there.
Yeah.
But it is just, I don't know, something about it like strikes a wrong note in my head.
I agree, and I think I have a similar qualm with this one as the last one, which is like, what do you call a single one? A wasted?
Yeah.
That just sucks.
Yeah. It sounds a little too fantasy when you use
yeah.
it in the singular somehow.
It's giving like Elden Ring.
Yeah, it's giving like capitalized word
Yeah.
in a fantasy novel.
Capital T, capital W.
Uh-huh.
Okay, next one. We're getting kind of silly with it again.
Okay.
Deadies.
This would work if we were in like Mad Max.
Yeah.
If we were in zombie Mad Max, I could see like in the Australian accent, like, I'm not gonna do it, but they would be like, oh, the Deadies.
The Deadies. Yeah, that would kind of work, I think, actually. Plus, the tone of Mad Max has always been a little dumber.
Right.
Like, I think it takes itself pretty seriously at sometimes, but it's also like kind of playful.
It's irreverent.
It makes me think, what's also another big series that's like a dystopian thing that's been, Fallout.
Yeah.
Also started as a game. Like, Fallout has some camp,
Yep.
elements, and it's kind of like fun, kind of goofy. There's like some humor in it, so I feel like Deadies would work in that sort of context, but
Yeah.
The Walking Dead is so self-serious,
Right.
like, it doesn't work.
It would need to be said in like a non-American accent, I think. Like, I would take British. If there was like a funny British robot that was calling them Deadies,
Yeah.
I would like that. I mean, I wouldn't like it, but I would understand it. As is in The Walking Dead, this is like a C or a D for me, I think.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference?
I think D.
Okay.
D for Deady.
D for Deady.
I know for sure this one is also in the comics, but I don't think it's used, like, widely.
Bit of a miss. Do
Yeah.
they call a singular a Deady?
I guess.
Or a dead?
Deady. It's kind of cute. Don't really know why you would want a cute name. Okay, next one. We're getting real lazy. Skin bags. Oh, this one's from Fear the Walking Dead.
Skin bags. It just seems like an insult that you would call a person you don't like. It doesn't feel specific to zombies at all.
Sonically
Yeah.
poisonous.
Yeah. Skin bag.
Who is saying that? Especially at like a high octane moment. You know?
It just seems like it would sound so obviously corny coming out of someone's mouth as they're like firing off rounds of shotgun shells into a crowd of zombies. Like, your skin bags, like,
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
some people really like that kind of, but in my expert one episode haven't seen opinion, it seems like the show is often not going for that kind of tone. I just don't think it would work.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay, I'm thinking D for that one, and it's pretty low down for me.
I'm thinking F.
Ooh, really?
I hate it.
I mean,
Yeah, I
I'm
think it's
amenable
really
to
bad.
it. I just don't want to be too mean.
That's what I'm here for.
Is it one word or is it 2 words?
It's skin dash bags.
They put. Wait, have all of these 2-word ones had a dash in them?
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything. Well, not like the wasted, but like
like
lame
Deadhead,
brain.
Lame Brain.
Yeah, Deadhead they have stylized as one word. Lame brain has a dash.
What? Okay, that makes all of the bad ones worse.
I know,
This
I
doesn't
think so
actually
too.
change anything on the scale, but like, just know that I hate them more. Is this the last one?
This is the last one.
Ooh.
And it's
okay.
one that you've heard before.
Today?
Yeah.
Really? What is? Are you gonna pull out like a trick and be like a mom or something?
No. It's ghouls.
Ghouls.
Yeah.
That again, I said it before, and I will not be swayed now that I'm having to double down on my opinion. That's a different thing.
A ghoul is a different thing.
That's a different
I think
thing.
a ghoul is a different thing. It's used mostly in the comics, I think, for this one, and I know it's used in one of the games, so it doesn't really make it into the main show that much, and I think there's a good reason.
It also, that word has sort of like changed connotatively, I feel like, in the commentary space. Like, you often hear it paired with right wing. Nowadays, people say
Yeah.
like right wing ghouls or
Sure.
culture war ghouls.
Far scarier than the walkers, by the way.
So, like, I don't know. I just don't like it in this context at all.
I don't like it either. I would put it in like C personally.
I was gonna say my instinct is D, but because it's not really the show's fault that the word has changed meanings in the last 15 years, I'll give it a C.
upgraded to C. Yeah.
Wow, this is a little disheartening. There's not a single thing in S.
I know. I was gonna ask you, now that you've seen the rest of the list, do you feel like Walker deserves S tier level, or do you think that A is still where it belongs?
I think that if I put it in S now, it would be cowardly, and instead we should put our cards on the table and try to come up with something that we think is an S tier.
Oh my god. Do you have any ideas?
Why don't we just leave this here for now? We'll come back to it after we do this thing that you're gonna surprise me with right now.
Okay.
So what do you have ready for us?
So Jay, now that you're a bona fide expert on The Walking Dead, TWD, as you call it, I'm sure, since you talk about it all the time, being an expert at all. Now I'm gonna hit you with a quiz round.
Ooh, okay.
Because though we ranked 15 names for zombie, there are many more existing in the Walking Dead franchise. So I had a lot of discards that didn't make my 15 list.
I remember from when we drunkenly Googled like a year and a half ago just to make sure there were enough of them to do some kind of video. I remember the list being very long.
And there were like 1,000.
Yeah, and I was like,
Okay, so I'm going to give you 3 names for zombie.
Okay.
One of them is not a name used in the Walking Dead cinematic universe.
Okay. The 2 of them are.
Yes, and you have to guess which is the odd one out.
Perfect.
It's like 2 truths and a lie.
Got it.
Okay, so your first quiz round. Empties, the foul ones,
That's real.
and growlers.
I think Empties is the fake.
Foul Ones is the fake one.
No way!
The Foul Ones is straight up here, baby. That came straight from me.
Ooh, man, that's a rough one. I'm glad it's not in the show.
It's tough, right?
I didn't
Empties
think it could
is
be
bad.
that bad. Yeah, Empties is pretty bad. What was the other one in that list? Growlers?
Growlers.
And that's real.
That one's real.
Okay. That's probably what they call the zombies that hang out at, like, former breweries.
I know. I was also trying to make a brewery joke.
Yeah.
Those are like the hipster IPA drinking
Yeah,
zombies.
there's like all the zombies with flannel. They inexplicably gather at like former microbreweries.
Right, exactly. Okay, you ready for 3 more?
Yes.
The Past.
I know that one's real. I remember that one from the list.
Okay, good memory. Meat Puppets.
I'm pretty sure that's real as well.
Rippers.
I think that that's the fake one.
Those are actually all real.
No way! That's
Surprise!
evil.
Yeah.
Meat Puppets is pretty unforgivable.
It's really bad. That would be F tier for sure.
The Past is also so sci-fi and like philosophical. I can't imagine. I mean, I can imagine it, but it's so goofy to think of some character like gesturing at them like distantly and being like, "That's the past." Like,
I know.
Okay, man.
I hate it.
I
and
don't
it's like
care.
the past, like that they have passed, but they're still here. So it
Yeah.
seems like you need a name to refer to them that insists upon their current presence. Like, it seems weird to be like, those guys who aren't here anymore. Mm-hmm. There's one behind you, by the way. You know, like...
The past is right behind me, isn't it? Always. Tautologically so.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
3 more. This is your last round.
Okay. I need to recover on this one. I haven't been doing very well.
To be fair, the last round was...
Right, you did cheat.
Yeah, I did cheat on that one. Okay. Rotten Mouths, Flesh Fiends, and the Putrid Ones.
They only get more Dungeons and Dragons the more you say them.
So many syllables on each of these.
Uh-huh. Man, I want to say Flesh Fiends is fake. That's my guess.
They're actually all fake.
Really?
I tricked you again.
Okay. That didn't even occur to me that you would do that.
But notice how plausible it all seems.
It does all seem extremely plausible, especially after the past. Man, okay, so what? Did I get a single one of those rounds right? Somebody else will have to tally this.
The cards were really stacked against you, though. Not only did I cheat, but there's also, like, a golly gee trillion different names for zombies in this franchise.
Golly gee trillion mentioned.
Yeah. Each one worse and less plausible than the last, so and it's not your fault.
Now it's on us to think of something that is S tier.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like, you know, I read a lot of, like, zombie books when I was a kid, and I feel like I like when they keep it simple.
Right.
Like, I really like The Walking Dead. I really like Walker. Those things seem so plausible to me. You know what it means. You know, I've even read books where they just call them the dead,
right.
Like, and that seems like what people would probably do. I don't think people would be jumping through hoops to come up with, like, cute little weird names, you know?
Probably not.
It might take a while in the apocalypse for people to come up with a, like, name to stick with.
Right.
Just because once you come up with a distinct name for the zombies, you're really formally deciding that they are, like, something else.
Yeah.
Like, that they're othered, you know?
Uh-huh. Other, you say.
Oh, I'm sensing a capital
O.
O.
I think you've hit upon something that I like. I'm gonna put my cards on the table and say I think the other is an S tier name.
I feel like there are many scholars that would be interested in that decision for sure. There's something colonization from within.
Ooh,
something.
Yeah, it'll get people talking.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if it doesn't actually mean anything, it's so loaded with connotation that like you can't help but think about it and wonder if I intended to do something.
Yeah,
and
I think.
Then you'll spend so much time thinking about that you'll forget that it's like actually
it's kind
sort of mid.
Not that good. Yeah. I mean, it kind of like quickly answers the question that The Walking Dead is so interested in for so many years, which is like, do we have to think about these things as people in any way? Like, what do we owe them as people?
Yeah.
Like, you're kind of getting right out in front and being like, no, that's something else.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. And also the insistence upon them being something else could also be read as like coping.
Yeah, they definitely are characters in The Walking Dead. Like, it's interesting how they relate to each other, where you do encounter characters every once in a while who are, like, you know, killing as many as possible. They're killing them for sport. They're, like, having fun with it. They're killing them in, like, dumb, you know, ways that would be humiliating to a person or whatever. And characters like Rick really bristle against that. You know, like, they really hate that. Like, they think that it's really tasteless and stuff. So I do think it's interesting. Like, I think the name, whatever you call those creatures, like, I think it actually really matters in your world, because it completely tells the audience, like, what do your characters think of these things, and how are they imagining them?
Yeah, it's like, this is how the characters see it. Do you agree? Does the narrative agree with the characters? And then thence comes the scholarship.
Yeah.
And that's what we want. All right, well, you can let us know what you think in the comments. Do you like the other? Probably not, but if you hate it, be sure to explain in a lot of detail why. I think that's about all that we had lined up for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this. I know the format was a little bit weird. I have honestly no clue how long this is going to end up being, but we'll see. Should be fun either way. Any final thoughts from you, Red?
No, I think that's all I got.
Okay.
Carl, we gotta come up with another name for the zombies, Carl.
Well, thank you for playing along with me today. I enjoyed the ranking. I enjoyed your impromptu quiz as well. And of course, getting to actually see the show after talking about it for a year and a half was a lot of fun. I've been Jay.
And I will continue to be Red.
I will also continue to be Jay, but I just also have been Jay. Jay is in the past, but Jay is also in the future. Well, we'll see you guys around campus.
Or in a zombie-infested Atlanta.
Or there. Which is just like regular Atlanta. Am I right?
I was waiting for that one.
Bada bing.